You never told me you are this tight, Korean mafia boss said to his virgin wife as he gasps for breath. The morning sun hit the windows of Nala's art cafe, scattering soft golden light over sketches pinned to the walls and the warm scent of cinnamon buns cooling on the counter. The small shop was her sanctuary, her pride, the place where her dreams finally had a home. It was supposed to be a peaceful day. She was sketching a portrait of a laughing child when the loud bang of the front door jolted everyone. 3 men barged in, swaggering like they owned the entire street. Their voices were sharp, their boots heavy against the polished floor. "Hey, pretty boss," the tallest one called out, smirking. "Got any freebies today?" Nala didn't even look up. Pay like everyone else. Her calmness irritated them instantly. The second guy kicked over a stand of her charcoal drawings. Papers scattered. Customers gasped. Her heart tightened. But she didn't hesitate. She closed her sketchbook deliberately and rose from her chair. Her footsteps were quiet but firm as she approached them. Pick up. The room froze. The tall man snorted. "What if I don't?" In one swift motion, Nala grabbed his wrist, twisted it, and slammed his hand against the nearest table. The man groaned in pain, bending forward. "Does that help you decide?" she asked. The cafe erupted in whispers. "Is she crazy? She really did that. She's fearless." At the corner table, someone was watching. A man in a charcoal gray coat. Slouched lazily yet radiating a chilling intensity. Dark hair falling slightly over his eyes. Eyes sharp enough to cut steel. Taehyung. Most people recognized him from whispers, rumors, and fear. But today, as he watched Nala stand her ground, something unfamiliar stirred in his normally cold gaze. Interest. A spark. Maybe even admiration. Meanwhile, the third thug stepped toward Nala. "You think you're tough?" "Try me," she replied, eyes blazing. Before he could move, Taehyung slowly rose from his seat. His chair scraped the floor, quiet, controlled, terrifying. Every bully in the room stiffened. Everyone knew that sound. His presence alone froze the air. The tall man whose wrist she still held went pale. Taehyung? Taehyung didn't say a word. He didn't need to. Just his stare made the 3 men stumble backward and rush out of the cafe as if hell itself was chasing them. Nala exhaled slowly, releasing the tension in her shoulders. Only then did Taehyung finally speak. His voice was deep, smooth, too calm for a man known for violence. "Mississippi." She turned toward him, still catching her breath. Their eyes met for the first time. Her fire. His eyes. 2 worlds colliding. "You handle yourself well," he said. Nala crossed her arms. Someone had to. His lips twitched, not quite a smile but close. And for Taehyung that meant a lot. As she knelt to gather her scattered sketches, he surprised both of them by kneeling beside her. He picked up a crumpled drawing and smoothed it gently on the table, his touch unusually careful for hands known for breaking bones. "You shouldn't have to face men like them alone," he murmured, almost to himself. She glanced at him. "And who says I was alone?" That answer hit him harder than any punch he'd ever taken. For a moment he forgot the entire world watching them. Forgot the reputation that followed him like a shadow. Forgot the loneliness that had filled his life for far too long. All he saw was her. Brave, stubborn, fearless. Nala stood, dusting her hands. "Would you like something to drink?" Taehyung blinked, caught off guard. No fear. No hesitation. Just kindness. "Tea," he said quietly. She smiled. "On the house. For helping me pick up my drawings." He returned to his seat, feeling something unfamiliar warming his chest. As she poured his tea, she didn't realize something important. This was the first time anyone had ever thanked him like a normal man, not a mafia boss. And Taehyung didn't realize something even more dangerous. This brave girl had just stepped into his life, and he had no intention of letting her walk back out. The bell above the cafe door jingled again the next morning. Nala looked up from her sketchpad, expecting a customer ordering breakfast. Instead she saw him. Taehyung stepped inside, silently, confidently, almost like his presence manipulated the air itself. He wore a black coat today, sharp and perfectly tailored. His expression, like always, was unreadable. But he came back. Again. He nodded once in greeting. "You open early." "You came earlier," she replied. He froze at her boldness. No one talked to him like that. Nala poured tea without being asked and set it on the table where he always sat. "You want the same?" "Yes." He paused. "Thank you." The simple words sounded strange, as if his tongue wasn't used to forming them. Nala smiled softly. "You should try smiling when you say it. It helps." He stared at her, almost offended. "I don't smile." "I can see that." She shrugged. "But you should practice." For the first time he looked lost for words. Customers entered, chattering, laughing, enjoying the morning warmth. Taehyung watched them with the distance of a man who had lived too long in cold, dangerous places. After a few minutes he spoke quietly. "Why did you stand up to those men yesterday? You could have been hurt." She looked at him curiously. "If I don't stand up for myself, who will?" That answer lingered in his mind, longer than he expected. He tapped the side of his teacup thoughtfully. "Most people choose fear. I'm not most people." Her confidence tugged at something inside him, something he thought was long dead. For the next few days Taehyung showed up without fail. He came with no warning and left without explanation, but always sat in the same seat, always ordered the same tea, and always watched her paint. He never smiled. He rarely spoke. But something warm and subtle flowed between them, like an invisible thread pulling them closer. One afternoon it was raining. Soft, steady, calming. Nala noticed Taehyung staring at her canvas. She turned the painting toward him, a girl holding an umbrella, standing alone in a storm, yet smiling. "What do you think?" she asked. He studied it carefully. "It suits you." "How?" "Strong." He paused. "Even in the rain." She blinked, taken aback. "That's surprisingly poetic for someone who doesn't smile." His eyes softened just a little. "I wasn't always like this." The rare glimpse into his past pulled her in. "What changed you?" she asked gently. He stirred his tea, looking away. "Life." That was all he said. But the single word carried the weight of loss, betrayal, and battle she could only imagine. Nala wanted to ask more, but she felt his invisible walls, cold and thick like armor. So she shifted the topic. "I like when you come here," she said lightly. "You don't cause trouble." His gaze snapped back to her. "I would never harm you." Her cheeks warmed unexpectedly. "I didn't say you would." He cleared his throat, uncomfortable with how honest he had been. "People think I don't have a reason to sit here," he said. "And do you?" she teased. His answer came without hesitation. "Yes." She stilled. Their eyes met. In his cold, dark gaze she saw something new, something fragile. A silent confession he wasn't brave enough to put into words. "You are my reason." The rain outside softened into a drizzle. The cafe lights glowed warm and golden. And between them, something unspoken began to bloom. Not quite friendship. Not yet love. But something rare. Something neither of them knew how to name. As Taehyung rose to leave, he paused at her counter. "Nala." She looked up from her sketchbook. "Yes." "Do you fear me?" The question surprised her, but her answer came naturally. "If I feared you, I wouldn't serve you tea every day." Something in him cracked, like ice thawing after years of winter. He bowed his head slightly, almost shy. "I'll see you tomorrow," he said. "You always do," she replied with a smile. He left quietly, coat brushing the door as he stepped into the street. Nala didn't know that the moment she said she didn't fear him, Taehyung made a silent promise to himself, a vow forged in a heart that had forgotten how to feel. "I will protect her, no matter what." For weeks, the cafe had been peaceful. Taehyung came every morning. Nala sketched every afternoon. And although they barely touched, the quiet closeness between them grew deeper than either dared to acknowledge. But peace never lasts long when danger walks the streets wearing Taehyung's name. One cloudy afternoon, just as Nala was closing up, the front door burst open with a violent slam. The same three bullies from before. But this time angrier, bolder, and carrying the kind of cruelty they thought would intimidate her. The tall one pointed at her with a red, furious face. "You humiliated us, you stupid girl." Nala didn't flinch. "I asked you to respect my shop. You refused." "Respect?" he barked. "You think we'll let that go?" One of them grabbed a glass off the counter and smashed it on the floor, shards flying. Nala's heartbeat sped up, but her eyes remained steady. "Get out," she said firmly. The second man lunged forward and grabbed her wrist so hard she cried out softly. "You talk too much," he sneered. Customers backed away. A few took out their phones but were too scared to intervene. Nala tried to twist her arm free just like before, but this time the third man held her other arm, pinning her against the wall. Her breath caught. This was different. Worse. Dangerous. "You think you're brave?" the leader hissed. "Let's see how brave you are now." Nala's chest tightened. Fear crept into her throat. "Let me go." The man laughed, too close, too smug. And then, the temperature in the room dropped. A shadow fell across the floor, blocking the light. The bullies froze as a chilling voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Move your hands. Now." Nala's eyes widened. Taehyung stood in the doorway. He wasn't wearing a coat today. Just a dark shirt, sleeves rolled up, revealing the veins along his forearms. His expression? Not anger. Not rage. Something far more dangerous. Controlled icy fury. The kind that made grown men tremble. The leader swallowed hard. We were just... You're touching her. His voice was low, deadly calm. Release her. The two men holding Nala hesitated. That was their mistake. In less than a second, Taehyung moved. Not like a man. Not like a fighter. But like something trained for violence, shaped by war, sharpened by darkness. He grabbed the nearest thug by the collar and slammed him onto a table so hard cups shattered. The second man swung wildly, but Taehyung blocked it effortlessly and twisted the man's arm until a bone popped. Someone screamed. Someone else ran out. But Taehyung didn't stop. The leader pulled a knife. The cafe erupted in panic. Nala gasped. Taehyung. But Taehyung's eyes had already changed. From cold calm to absolute lethal focus. He kicked the man's wrist, sending the knife flying, then pinned him against the wall with one arm pressed to his throat. Don't ever come near her again, he growled. The man choked. Okay. We won't. Taehyung released him, letting the thug collapse onto the ground. Silence filled the cafe. Shaking, humiliated, terrified, the three men stumbled and scrambled out the door, leaving broken glass and splattered coffee behind. For a few seconds no one moved. Then Taehyung finally turned, slowly, toward Nala. His hardened expression cracked. His breath hitched. Her wrist had a red mark. Small but enough to make him look like he was about to kill someone all over again. He stepped closer, his voice trembling. They touched you. It wasn't a question. It was a wound. Nala's eyes softened, but she was still catching her breath. Taehyung. I'm fine. He gently took her hand as if afraid he might break her. His thumb brushed the red mark so lightly that she shivered. I should have been here earlier, he said, guilt slicing through his words. I should have. You saved me, she whispered. He closed his eyes briefly, the relief overwhelming. I can't lose you, he murmured, almost inaudible. Nala's breath caught. Lose her? Since when did she matter that much to him? She touched his arm, hesitant, gentle. Taehyung. He opened his eyes and for the first time she saw something raw. Not the mafia boss. Not the feared leader. Just a man terrified of caring too much. You're the only peaceful thing in my life, he admitted, voice rough. If something happened to you... His voice broke. For a man like him, that was the same as a full confession. Nala didn't know what to say. Didn't know how to hold the weight of his feelings. Or her own. But she did something simple. She squeezed his hand. And Taehyung, deadly, powerful Taehyung, exhaled like she had just saved him instead. That night, Taehyung couldn't sleep. The image of her pinned against the wall. The fear in her eyes. The red mark on her wrist. It replayed again and again. And he realized something he had never admitted before. Nala wasn't just someone he found interesting. She was someone he couldn't bear to lose. Someone he would protect. With every drop of blood in his body. Even if it meant war. The cafe incident changed everything. The next morning, Taehyung didn't show up at his usual time. Or the next. Or the day after. For the first time since she'd met him, Nala felt the cafe was too quiet. The air too still. The mornings too empty. She tried to ignore the sinking feeling in her chest, but she found herself glancing at the door constantly, waiting for him to walk in with that cold, unreadable expression. But he never did. 3 days later, she closed the cafe early. Her mind was restless. Her heart uneasy. As she stepped out onto the dim street, a sleek black car parked near the curb caught her eye. The windows were tinted, the engine purred softly. The back door opened. Taehyung stepped out. He looked different. Not dangerous. Not furious. Just exhausted. Dark circles under his eyes. A tension in his shoulders. A heaviness in his steps. Nala froze, her heart pounding. Taehyung. He walked to her without a word. Then he stopped in front of her, close enough that she could see the quiet turmoil swirling in his eyes. I stayed away so I wouldn't scare you, he said softly. She blinked. Scare me? What I did that day. He swallowed, jaw tense. You saw a side of me I don't want you to ever see again. Nala shook her head, stepping closer, her voice gentle. You saved me. That's not all I did, he said bitterly, looking away. I lost control. She hesitated. Taehyung, you're human too. His eyes snapped back to her. No, I'm not like you. My world is not like yours. Violence is normal where I come from. He stepped back, shaking his head. I shouldn't have let my emotions decide my actions. That's dangerous for a man like me. Nala's breath hitched. His emotions? He acted like that because of her? Taehyung, she whispered, are you saying you did all that because? Yes. The answer was immediate. Painfully honest. Silence pressed around them. His eyes softened, more vulnerable than she had ever seen. I don't want anything to happen to you. Ever. Her heart throbbed at the sincerity in his voice. She hadn't expected him to care this deeply. But what he said next shattered all expectations. I came to ask you something, he said. She blinked. What is it? He took a breath, steadying himself like a man preparing for battle. Then he looked her straight in the eyes. Nala. I want to marry you. The world spun. Nala felt her knees weaken. What? Taehyung, wait, what are you saying? I'm saying I want you in my life, he said firmly. I want you safe, protected, beside me. But marriage? Her voice trembled. You barely know me. He shook his head slowly. I know your courage. I know your heart. I know your strength. And I know that when you're near me, I become a better man. She stared at him, stunned. And, he continued quietly, I know that if something happened to you because of my world, I would never forgive myself. His voice cracked at the end. She had never seen him like this. Not fierce. Not cold. Just a man terrified of losing a woman who brought light into his darkness. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small velvet box. He opened it. Inside was a simple ring. Nothing extravagant. Nothing flashy. Just sincere. I'm not giving you this because I want to own you, he said softly. I'm giving you this because losing you would break me. And I don't break. Nala's breath shuddered. Her heart was a storm of emotions. Taehyung, why so sudden? Because the world I live in doesn't give warnings. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. If trouble comes, and it will, I want you to be under my name. My protection. My home. Nala felt tears sting her eyes. Taehyung, I'm not afraid of you. Or your world. But marriage, that's... He lowered his head, whispering almost desperately. It's the only way I know how to keep you safe. Silence. Nala stared at the ring, at the man holding it, at the walls he hid behind slowly crumbling. And she realized something. He wasn't proposing out of possession. Or impulse. Or fear. He was proposing because he had no idea how else to show love. Deep, raw, terrified love. Finally, she lifted her hand, trembling, and placed it over his. Yes, she whispered. His eyes widened as if he hadn't expected her to accept. You said yes? Yes. She smiled through tears. I want to be with you too. Taehyung exhaled shakily, a sound almost like relief, almost like gratitude, almost like a silent prayer answered. He slid the ring onto her finger, hands trembling for the first time in years. Nala, he murmured, voice breaking, you have no idea how much this means. As he pulled her into his arms, gentle, careful, protective, she buried her face against his chest. And for a moment the world stood still. She was no longer just the girl who stood up to bullies. He was no longer just the mafia boss who ruled the streets. They were two souls finding home. In each other. A home stronger than fear. Stronger than danger. Stronger than destiny. A home sealed with a vow. A vow that would change both of their lives forever. The wedding was small. Just a few witnesses from Taehyung's side, and 2 stunned friends from Nala's. The ceremony lasted less than 20 minutes. No extravagant venue, no choir, no flowers lining the aisle. Just 2 people. Standing face to face. Promising something far bigger than anything they fully understood. When the officiant said, You may kiss your bride, Taehyung froze. His eyes softened, but his hands trembled ever so slightly. He didn't kiss her. He only touched her cheek with a gentle brush of his fingers, eyes locked with hers as if asking silently, May I, really? She smiled nervously and whispered, We can save that for later. His shoulders relaxed in relief and gratitude. Nala didn't yet know that Taehyung had never been gentle with anything in his life, until her. Their ride back to his penthouse was quiet. Taehyung sat stiffly, one hand gripping the edge of his coat. His eyes kept drifting toward her, then away as if afraid looking at her too long might shatter something inside him. Nala clutched her bouquet, heart pounding. Married. She was married. To a man who barely smiled, who commanded fear wherever he walked, who was rumored to be ruthless, yet held her like she was made of something fragile. When they reached the penthouse, the elevator doors slid open to reveal a breathtaking space. High ceilings, glass walls overlooking the city, warm lights reflecting off marble floors. It felt like stepping into a different world. Taehyung, she breathed, your home is beautiful. It's too cold, he murmured. It needs someone like you. Her cheeks warmed. Not even an hour married and he was already saying things that stole her breath. He led her to the bedroom but stopped at the door, stiff again. I need to talk to you. Nala nodded, sensing his anxiety. Okay. Taehyung faced her with a seriousness that made her heart squeeze. I'll sleep on the couch tonight. Her eyebrows shot up. What? Why? You're innocent. His throat bobbed as he swallowed hard. I don't want you to feel pressured. Or scared. Or obligated because we're married now. She blinked. Of all things he could have said, that was the last she expected. Taehyung, she whispered, stepping closer, I'm not afraid of being near you. He looked away immediately. You should be, he said quietly. I'm not good with tenderness. I've never needed it before. She touched his hand, gently. He froze. Completely. Taehyung. Look at me. Slowly, hesitantly he did. You don't have to pretend, she said softly. We can take things slow. We don't need to rush anything. A breath he didn't realize he was holding escaped him. But his eyes softened in a way that made her chest ache with warmth. You're too kind, he murmured. I don't deserve. Don't say you don't deserve me, she interrupted. You chose me. I chose you. We're here together because we want to be. His jaw clenched, not in anger but in overwhelming emotion he didn't know how to show. He stepped closer, testing the space between them, watching her reaction with caution, as if afraid she might flinch. She didn't. Instead, she touched the lapel of his suit gently. Taehyung, you can stay in the room. His breath hitched. You're sure? She nodded, cheeks warm. I trust you. Those 3 words struck him harder than any bullet ever could. He moved slowly, so slowly it almost hurt to watch, and placed his hands around her waist, barely touching. When his forehead rested against hers, he whispered, I will never hurt you. Not even by accident. Not ever. Her pulse skipped. His voice was deep, shaky, honest. The voice of a man who wasn't afraid of guns, knives, or enemies, but was terrified of hurting the woman in his arms. Nala leaned into him, her hands sliding up to his shoulders. The closeness made both of them tremble. Not with fear. With anticipation. With tenderness. With a new, fragile intimacy that neither had experienced before. He wrapped his arms fully around her, pulling her into the warm solidity of his chest. And for the first time in his life, Taehyung held someone like she mattered more than the world outside. Because she did. That night wasn't wild or rushed. It wasn't about hunger or dominance or passion consuming them too quickly. It was soft, slow, hesitant, full of whispered breaths, nervous laughter, stolen glances, and the indescribable feeling of 2 hearts learning the rhythm of each other's presence. They lay together under warm sheets, facing each other, fingers intertwined. At one point Nala whispered, You can kiss me now, if you want. Taehyung inhaled sharply. He cupped her cheek, fingers trembling, and pressed the gentlest kiss to her forehead first. Then her cheek. Then finally. Very carefully. Her lips. The kiss was soft. Sweet. And so full of emotion that it made her toes curl. When they finally pulled away, breath mingling, he whispered, Nala, thank you. For trusting me. She smiled shyly. Thank you for being gentle. He wrapped his arms around her, holding her tightly as if she were the only softness in a world full of steel and shadows. As she drifted to sleep, he whispered into her hair. You're my peace now, and I will protect that with everything I have. And with that, Taehyung finally closed his eyes. Next to the only person who had ever made him feel safe enough to rest. For 3 days, Nala lived in a floating, quiet happiness. Taehyung became softer with her. Not less dangerous. No, the air still shifted when he walked into a room. But with her, he was gentle in a way she knew no one else had ever seen. He brewed tea and left it by her bedside. He walked her to the elevator each morning. He texted her short, clipped messages like, Are you safe? Tell me when you arrive. Eat. And every night, he returned to the penthouse early, something his men had never witnessed in the past 6 years. But today, something felt wrong. Taehyung was tense when he walked through the door. His jaw was tight, his movements sharp, his eyes constantly scanning, like he expected danger to be hiding behind every wall. Taehyung? Nala asked quietly. He didn't answer at first. He just pulled her into his chest and held her tightly, too tightly. Only when he exhaled did he whisper, There's trouble. The words sent a shiver across her skin. Before she could speak, his phone buzzed once. He glanced at the screen and froze. His entire body went still. Then, very slowly, he turned the phone for her to see. A message. From her doctor. Your test results are ready. Please come in immediately. Nala blinked. Her breath caught. Her hands shook. Oh. Taehyung searched her face. What test results? She swallowed hard, forcing courage into her voice. I did a pregnancy blood test. To confirm my condition. His eyes widened before narrowing sharply. You were scared, he murmured, voice almost breaking. And you didn't tell me. I didn't want to add to your stress, she whispered. I wasn't ready yet. He cupped her cheeks, firm but gentle. You tell me everything, he said softly. Good or bad. I want all of it, Nala. Her heart ached with emotion. Before she could respond, his second phone, the secure one, buzzed. This time Taehyung didn't show her the screen, but his pupils sharpened like knives. We have to go, he said. Both to the hospital, and to take care of something important. The hospital smelled like disinfectant and fear. Taehyung held her hand the entire time, thumb brushing slow circles against her skin like he could calm her heartbeat with his touch. The doctor walked in with a file. Nala instantly felt her knees weaken. Taehyung tightened his grip, steadying her. Nala, the doctor said gently, we ran the blood test twice to be sure. Taehyung's breath hitched. Nala's heart pounded painfully. The doctor continued. You're pregnant. The room tilted. Her vision blurred. Taehyung didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't blink. He just stared at the doctor like the world had stopped spinning. Pregnant? He repeated, voice barely audible. The doctor nodded. Yes. A long, shaky breath escaped him. Nala whispered, Taehyung, are you okay? His eyes snapped to her, wide, vulnerable, emotional in a way that almost brought tears to her own eyes. You're carrying my child? His voice cracked. She nodded slowly. His hands cupped her cheeks, thumbs brushing her skin as if she were something holy. Nala? His voice trembled. I never thought I'd have something so precious. I don't deserve. Before he could finish, the door slammed open. Two men in black suits rushed in. Taehyung, one shouted. We have a situation. Taehyung immediately stepped in front of Nala, shielding her with his entire body. What situation? He growled. The guard swallowed. Your cousin, the one trying to take over the syndicate, he knows. About your marriage. About the baby. He's on his way. Nala gasped. How does he even? Taehyung's voice turned deadly. Because he has someone watching us. The guard hesitated. There's more, boss. What? He's ordered a hit. The man lowered his head. On her. The world went silent. So silent Nala could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. Taehyung reacted instantly. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight enough to anchor her soul. Then he lifted his head, jaw clenched, eyes burning with a terrifying combination of fury and fear. No one touches her, he said coldly. No one touches my wife. No one touches the mother of my child. His men nodded and left the room. Nala trembled. Taehyung, they want to hurt me because of you. He cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. They want to hurt you because they know you're my weakness. Her breath caught. He rested his forehead against hers. I will not let them take you. Not my wife. Not my baby. The emotion in his voice broke something inside her. Taehyung. He kissed her. A deep, urgent, trembling kiss. When he pulled back, his voice was raw. Come. We're leaving. And I'm ending this tonight, so our child can have a world where no one hunts them. He took her hand and walked out of the hospital with the cold determination of a man prepared to destroy anything that threatened what he loved. But as they reached the car, a gunshot rang out. Taehyung shoved her behind him instantly. His guards shouted. More gunshots fired. Nala screamed. And from across the parking lot, a man stepped out of the shadows. Taehyung's cousin. Gun raised. Pointed directly at Taehyung's head. Nala, Taehyung whispered, never taking his eyes off the barrel aimed between his eyes. Run. The gun aimed at Taehyung's forehead didn't shake. His cousin smirked, cruel and confident. Nephew of the great chairman, he taunted. Finally kneeling where you belong. Taehyung didn't kneel. But his stance shifted, placing his body fully between Nala and danger. Nala clutched the back of his coat, shaking. Taehyung, she whispered, please, don't. His hand reached behind him, brushing her hip, reassuring her, protecting her. Then his voice dropped to a deadly whisper. You point a gun at my wife, at my unborn child, and expect to walk away alive? His cousin barked a laugh. Wife? You mean your little African toy? The virgin you're so obsessed with? Nala stiffened. Taehyung's eyes darkened into something lethal. You shouldn't have said that. A heartbeat. A breath. Then a gunshot exploded. But it wasn't from the cousin's gun. It was from behind him. He jerked forward, dropping his weapon, falling to the ground. Behind him stood Minjun, Taehyung's right-hand man, holding a smoking gun. Boss, Minjun said calmly, you were taking too long. Taehyung exhaled one long, slow breath, relief flooding his body as the threat fell to the concrete. Then he turned, grabbing Nala's face gently but urgently. Are you hurt? He asked, voice trembling. No, No, I'm okay. He pressed his forehead to hers, eyes closing. I thought I was going to lose you. Nala's heart squeezed. You didn't. Minjun approached, bowing. Boss, we've secured the perimeter. No more threats. Taehyung nodded. Good. Burn everything he touched. And make sure the syndicate knows, anyone who looks at my wife dies. Nala's breath hitched at the cold command. But Taehyung turned to her, gaze softening instantly. Let's go home, he murmured. Crescent moon back at the penthouse. Taehyung took her upstairs in complete silence. Not angry. Not distant. Just overwhelmed. When the elevator doors opened, he pulled her into the living room and wrapped his arms around her. She melted into him, burying her face in his chest. His voice broke. Nala, you could have died today. But I didn't. I almost did, he whispered. I almost had to watch the woman I love die. She froze. Well, he said it. He didn't stutter. He didn't hesitate. Taehyung lifted her chin. I love you, he repeated quietly like a vow. Not as a shield. Not as a weakness. But as the woman who changed everything. Warm tears slipped down her cheeks. She cupped his face. And I love you too. His eyes softened, then deepened, then darkened with something else entirely. He lifted her into his arms effortlessly. Her legs wrapped around his waist. His lips brushed her ear. Tonight, I need to feel you close. Her breath trembled. Taehyung, I almost lost you. I need you in my arms, Nala. I need to remind myself you're real. He carried her to the bedroom, slow, reverent, protective. The door clicked shut behind them. His forehead pressed against hers again. You're shaking, he whispered. So are you, she breathed. He kissed her, slow and deep at first, then hungry, desperate, relieved. When he pulled away, his voice was raw, trembling, thick with emotion. Tell me to stop, he whispered, and I will. Nala touched his cheek. I don't want you to stop. His breath caught. Nala, you're my wife. My first love. My only. He swallowed hard. And I know you're innocent. I will be gentle. She nodded. I trust you. Those words shattered him. He kissed her again, this time deeper, pulling her closer, like he needed her to fill every fear he'd carried, every nightmare he'd lived. Her fingers brushed his jaw, his neck, his chest. And he gasped, soft, breathless. You never told me you were this sweet, he whispered, voice shaking with restraint. She blushed. And you never told me you were this careful. He smiled, a rare, beautiful smile that only she would ever see. What followed was slow, tender, intense. A night filled with whispered promises, gentle touches, breathless confessions, and a love so deep it scared both of them. When it was over, she lay curled against his chest, safe, cherished, adored, while he stroked her hair gently. Sleep, he murmured against her forehead. I'll watch over you. Taehyung. Yes, love? Thank you for protecting us. His arms tightened around her. I will protect you. A kiss to her temple. Always. As Nala fell asleep in the arms of her mafia husband, pregnant with his child bound to his heart, the city whispered of the war that had begun. But in the quiet penthouse, two souls, once strangers from different worlds, found home in each other.